An unseasonably warm November afternoon in Philadelphia. The temperature may reach 70 degrees today at Veterans Stadium. Sellout crowd over 65,000 for the Dolphins and the Eagles. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Veterans Stadium. Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth on hand to see Don Shula take one more crack at that record win number 325.
And if he gets the win today, he will have done in just 31 years what it took the great George Halas 40 years to do. And I think the thing that is so impressive about Don Shula is the man himself. Always conducts his business with such style, such class, a real hero in the National Football League.
Yeah, I agree. And if he gets the win today, he'll do it with the help of some former Eagles. 5 former Philadelphia players visit Veterans Stadium today in a Dolphin uniform.
Keith Byers, Keith Jackson, the 2 marquee names, but don't expect a very warm reception. Seth Joyner told us yesterday that I know they're going to try and take my head off. I'm going to try and take their head off, but after the game, we'll still be friends.
Well, how did the Philadelphia fans greet the former Eagles? Here's the greeting they had for Keith Jackson just moments ago.
At tight end, number 88 from Oklahoma, Keith Jackson. At wide receiver, number 82 from Michigan State, Mark Ingram. At quarterback, number 19.
Keith Jackson milking it just a little bit. I think he got a better reception than the Eagles did. This is Philadelphia after all. Right. Philadelphia has the new figure in the lineup today, and it's a rather large figure, William Refrigerator Perry.
Indeed it is. The fridge is in town, and he has simply one job, to try and shore up the run defense for the Philadelphia Eagles, which is dead last in the National Football League. They're hoping the big guy can at least occupy 2 in the middle.
The fridge in the unfamiliar green uniform today, and he'll be starting as Pete Stoyanovich is set to kick off for the Dolphins. Shirt sleeve crowd over 65,000 at the vet. Walker and Sikahema are the deep men for the Eagles. Herschel Walker returning kicks. He'll be playing on special teams all afternoon. Stoyanovich puts the toe into it. Sikahema 3 yards deep. Dodges one man and then is taken down at about the 18-yard line, where the Eagles will take over with their first possession of the game. Here's the starting lineup for the Eagles. Rich Kotite has been high in his praise of the tackles, Thompson and Davis. The backs, O'Brien starting his 3rd game. Some of his biggest games in a career came when he faced the Dolphins as a member of the Jets. Walker, the leading rusher. Tight end Bavaro leads in receptions. Injuries have limited the number of wide receivers. Bailey and Williams start off in the 3rd line on passing downs. O'Brien will pass on first down. Swings it to Walker. Herschel evaded the first man to tackle him, then falls forward for a gain of about 4 yards. Stopped by J.B. Brown. Here's the Miami starting defensive unit. They're ranked 10th in the NFL. Jeff Cross tops on the team in sacks. Ryan Cox is the #1 tackler. Hollier, as you may know, replaces the injured John Offerdahl. The secondary revolving around the safeties, Williams and Oliver. And Vesty Jackson replaces linebacker John Grimsley in the nickel. Second down for the Eagles. Ball just across the Philadelphia 20. First carry for Heath Sherman. Sherman is to the 25-yard line. He'll be about 2.5 yards short of the first down. John Grimsley on the tackle for the Dolphins.
And Tom, the Eagles really need to get something going in this first quarter. They haven't scored a first quarter touchdown since the season opener. That's 19 possessions since that first touchdown of the year in the season opener in the first quarter. A real struggle for Rich Kotite and this offensive team.
Keith Sherman out of the game on 3rd down. 2 tight ends, Bavaro and Johnson. Walker the lone setback. O'Brien in trouble. And sacked by Jeff Cross. For Cross, that is his 8th sack of the season. He leads the Dolphins and comes into the game tied for 4th in the AFC.
Cross has led the Dolphins in sacks for 3 straight years, so this is really no surprise. Just matched up and overpowering on the outside. That's Anton Davis, who Rich Kotite was trying to tell us yesterday that he was one of the best offensive linemen in the National Football League. I think that was a bit of a stretch.
O.J. McDuffie fumbles Fiegel's punt out of bounds, and the Dolphins will take over at their own 27-yard line. A 51-yard punt by Fiegel's, no return by McDuffie. Well, the Miami offense is tops in the AFC, and it's the NFL's top passing units. The injuries have forced Dallenbach from guard to center. Widener takes over at the right guard. Mitchell, starting his fourth game, a top-rated quarterback in the AFC. Higgs is the leading rusher. Fryer, the top receiver. And in passing situations, Kirby in at running back with McDuffie, the third wideout. Mitchell with play action on first down. The southpaw fires incomplete. Intended for Keith Jackson, with Miano and Smith right there defending for Philadelphia. The Eagles' defense is the worst in the NFL against the run, and 335-pound William Perry signed this week, expected to help in that department. He's thrown right into the starting lineup. Simmons and Joyner Pro Bowlers, and Waters back from surgery, toe surgery in fact, gets his first start of the season. In the nickel, McMillan will be the fifth defensive back. 2nd and 10 for the Dolphins. Fires, slips, and is covered at the 25-yard line. And William Perry gets his first tackle as an Eagle.
That's exactly what the big guy was supposed to do. You see the eyes. He's working against a very good guard in Keith Sims, but simply overpowers him, and now comes out on third down. The William the Refrigerator Perry already paying dividends for these Eagles.
McMillan and Otis Smith in the defensive secondary. The dime is Mitchell's pass sails over the head of his intended receiver, O.J. McDuffie. So the Dolphins sputter badly on their first possession, and the punt team will come on.
And this is what Rich Kotite wanted to see out of his ball club. More emotion. They were obviously very upset. As you take a look at Dan Marino, obviously very upset at the lack of emotion that they showed in Phoenix last week.
Dale Hatcher in the punt. He struggled for the Dolphins this season. And Vice Sikahema deep for the Eagles. Needs only 15 yards to join Rick Church and Billy Johnson for 3,000. Sikahema across the 35 to the 37-yard line. Stop made by Cliff Odom after a 52-yard punt, 15-yard return. We'll be back to the Vets. Each team 3 and out on its first possession, and the Eagles defense holding thanks in large measure William Refrigerator Perry, who did a good job stopping the run. That's what he's expected to do. And over the years in a Chicago Bears uniform, he has been one of the most entertaining players in the National Football League. There's a sack wearing number 72 in the blue of the Bears, now sporting number 90 in green for the Eagles. Philadelphia first down. It is scoreless first quarter. Counterplay, the handoff to Sherman, and Heath Sherman gets only a yard before he's pounced on by Jarvis Williams. That last return, by the way, punt return by Sikahema, Chris, officially covered 14 yards, so he's now only one shy of 3,000.
You know, this Miami run defense has really gotten a lot better over the last couple of years. They gave up only 100 yards rushing per game last season, which was best in Dolphins history. So far this year, it's just 89 yards per game. So Tom Olivadotti really turning around the Dolphins defense.
James Joseph has replaced Heath Sherman for the Eagles. O'Brien stands in the pocket, now is chased out, and he'll be spun down at the 25-yard line. Second sack of the day for the Miami defense. This time it was Marco Coleman that did the number for Olivadotti's defense. Loss of 13 yards.
And more than anything else, you're going to see the lack of mobility by Ken O'Brien. That is their major concern with him. As long as he can stand in the pocket and throw, he's fine. But once you flush him outside, is not going to get away from Marco Coleman.
Third sack of the season for the second-year man from Georgia Tech. First-round draft choice a year ago. 3 wide receivers now. Lofton joins Bailey and Young in the Eagles lineup. O'Brien steps up and is wrapped up again. Another sack. Back to the 19 this time, and the Eagles all over O'Brien. Jeff Cross with his second sack of the game in just 2 Eagle possessions.
And, Tom, this is not a good sign at all for the Philadelphia Eagles as they try to break this 4-game losing streak. Rich Kotite told us yesterday that the strength of this offense is the offensive line, and already 3 sacks by the Dolphins.
Eagles under pressure, gets the punt away, a towering punt. Fair catch called for by McDuffie, who takes it at the 29-yard line. Dolphins defense is looking good. The offense will have its turn when we come back to Philadelphia. From the vet in Philly, Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, and the Fridge. Dolphins sort of tested him that first possession.
See if they come back that way.
And off to Mark Higgins. Higgins dropped at the line of scrimmage. Britt Hager got a piece of it. And let's see who's down at the bottom of the stack. It is Seth Joyner. And William Perry is right there, too, and draws the cheer. As the PA announcer mentioned, that he got a piece of another tackle.
I'll tell you what, Keith Sims is having a time with the Fridge. That time, Fridge just overpowering him and running down from the backside. That off-tackle running play.
Mitchell hands to the tailback, Kirby, and the rookie stopped after a gain of 1 by Hager. Well, this porous rush defense of the Eagles looks like a completely different unit today.
Fridge right there is just going to take up space. He's working against Keith Sims. They've got the double team. He splits that, makes the back stop, stutter step, and allow Britt Hager to make the tackle. I'll tell you what, the man is playing makes you wonder what the Bears were thinking about letting that guy go from what we've seen.
3 rushes, minus 2 yards for the Dolphins, but here's Mitchell on a scramble, and he's got a lot of room to roam. Big gangly strides and out of bounds at the 37-yard line of the Eagles. Scott Mitchell took off for 32 yards.
I was a little concerned about him when he got that full stride going. But Rich Kotite says that, nobody is Dan Marino, but Scott Mitchell's mobility really gives this Dolphins offense an added dimension. Andre Waters talked about how physically strong he is and how you just can't seem to intimidate this guy. Nice play by Scott Mitchell.
Reminiscent of R. Kong in the Breeders' Cup Classic a week or so ago.
130-1.
Initial first down of the game, Dolphins. Hand to the tailback for a yard or 2, Terry Kirby. Again, the rush defense up to the task for the Eagles. A lot of green jerseys around the ball.
Yeah, and the biggest green jersey of all, the Fridge, is continuing to make plays. Now, what makes this defensive start of the Eagles so impressive is the last 3 games, they have given up 210, 271, and 243 yards on the ground alone. And so far, the impact of the Fridge has been tremendous for this Eagles defense.
Kirby, the only step back as Mitchell retreats. And goes for the end zone. Ingram is short and almost intercepted by Eric Allen. He should have had that pick through his hands and incomplete as Mitchell's pass intended for Ingram came up short.
3-time Pro Bowler Eric Allen absolutely let a turnover go right through his hands. He's playing with a bad ankle, didn't practice all week. And maybe the fact that he couldn't jump quite the way that he wanted to, well, I'll tell you, that's a dead cold drop. He has 28 career interceptions, and that was almost number 29. He is, without question, I think, right now the best cornerback in the National Football League.
Mitchell looking for his first pass completion of the day. Again for Ingram, and he makes a leaping catch. Tremendous catch by Mark Ingram over the shoulder with Miano and Allen with him stride for stride. Mark Ingram.
Just a perfectly thrown ball by Scott Mitchell. Mark Ingram working from the slot against Eric Allen. Allen right there. Watch this ball just come dropping in over the top. Perfectly thrown by Mitchell. That's what Scott Mitchell can do so well, is he can put the touch on the football and drop it in when necessary.
That's what Keith Jackson was saying. Marino always throws a hard football, but Scott Mitchell is capable of putting the touch on it. Here's Mark Higgs to the 5. Andre Waters comes up from the free safety spot to make the tackle. Help from the Fridge. Don Shula hoping for win number 325, failing to get it against his nemesis, the Jets, a week ago. The Jets have handed the Dolphins their only 2 defeats of the season.
And the Dolphins seemed surprisingly flat in that game against the Jets. I don't know if it was that or just a case of the Jets handing it to him.
Spot the ball at the 6, where it's 2nd and 5. Fake to Higgs. Mitchell rolls. Can't get around the corner. Chased out of bounds by William Thomas.
Well, we've got the old busted play on that one. Looked like they had the counter OT working back to the other side. They were coming with Byers and Sims back the other way, and Mitchell, for whatever reason, came this way.
Mitchell's 32-yard scramble earlier in the quarter was the longest run by a Dolphin this season. He's only 1 of 4 passing.
Eagles very good on 3rd down, 7th in the National Football League.
6 defensive backs for Philadelphia. Mitchell from the gun. Steps up. He had room to run. Instead, he finds a wide open Terry Kirby in the end zone for the score. Terry Kirby beat Otis Smith. Mitchell found him for the touchdown.
Dan Marino enjoyed watching that one. And I tell you, Scott Mitchell is putting on a show. 2 finesse passes and a long run. The difference in this drive, watch as he just drops it in over the top of Seth Joyner. Perfectly thrown football again.
Stoyanovich for the extra point. And a fumbled snap. The holder, Doug Peterson, the backup quarterback, fumbled the snap, and the conversion is no good. Terry Kirby scoring his 2nd receiving touchdown of the season on this play.
Very impressive the way that Scott Mitchell stepped up in the pocket, had a chance to run the football, but kept his eyes down the field and then just floated it in for the score.
But the blown extra point means it's just 6-0. 6:48 first quarter. Dolphins go up 6-0 on the Eagles. Blown extra point makes it 6. What happened, Chris?
In my professional opinion, I'd say he dropped it.
Well, you should know something about drops, too, if I bring it up.
I am an expert.
Stoyanovich will kick to Walker and Sikahema. Sikahema retreats about 9 deep in the end zone. He'll down it for the touchback, giving us the chance to check in with Jim Lampley at NFL Live for an update. Jim?
Early touchdown for the Houston Oilers against the Cincinnati Bengals. Moon taking the Oilers the length of the field, capitalizing from 3 yards out to Curtis Duncan. The Bengals trying to avoid going 0-9 for the first time in franchise history, Tom and Chris.
All right, Jim. And, of course, Don Shula was talking to us last night about his son, Dave, the Bengals coach. And, I think rightfully so, has not gotten any blame. They just don't have many players. Meanwhile, the Oilers are a dangerous team. They're going to make some noise. Herschel Walker stopped after a gain of 3 by Troy Vincent. Warren Moon after and there's a flag, a late flag just now flying in. As you see the numbers on Walker.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 51 defense after the play, 15 yards, first down.
Well, that's Brian Cox, the controversial linebacker of the Dolphins, called for the unnecessary roughness. Gordon McCarter, the referee, with the call, first penalty of the game.
And if one thing has been consistent about Don Shula over the years, it's that he hates stupid penalties. But Brian Cox is the guy that is, no question, the emotional leader of this team. And of course, we all remember the incident up in Buffalo when he took off on the fans there.
Well, he has a mass communication degree. He did some communicating that day, didn't he? Sign language, as I recall. Brian hands to Walker. Herschel again finds the yardage tough up the middle. Give him perhaps 3. Jeff Cross, a piece of the tackle. Mike Golick, the former Eagle, got some of it too.
Philadelphia Eagles have really been struggling offensively. It's an unbelievable number right there. 7 points per game after the way that they started with Randall Cunningham. Of course, Randall Cunningham now out, Brett Barnett out, and they were really the two big guns in that offense.
Eagles began 4 straight wins. They've lost 4 in a row currently. O'Brien rolls to get away from trouble, but then overshoots his intended receiver, Victor Bailey, as Marco Coleman once again was bearing down on Ken O'Brien.
And I think what you saw in that play, there's Bubby Brister, the backup quarterback. He may be able to play in this one, and Rich Kotite told us that he wouldn't hesitate to pull O'Brien out of it if things got ugly in a hurry. He's still struggling to some degree with that bad neck. I think we saw there a concession on the part of Rich Kotite, feeling that he really can't block this defensive line. The Miami Dolphins straight out, so the bootleg and getting out of pocket on the last play.
Eagles looking for their first third down conversion. O'Brien takes it too long for Bailey. Pass off target for Ken O'Brien. Oliver and Brown were with Victor Bailey, and O'Brien complaining perhaps that he was subject of a late hit. I didn't see it, but he had some words to Gordon McCarter.
Kenny O'Brien was telling us yesterday that, well, there's nothing worse than playing like we did last week in Phoenix. He said as soon as the game was over, I couldn't wait to get back on the field again, but at least so far it looks like a replay of last week's game.
Eagles punting has been highlights so far. That one is a kind of a sideways sidewinder to McDuffie at the 19-yard line. He makes the fair catch. It was a 41-yard punt that time. It remains 6-0 Fins. Opening period, Ken O'Brien and the Eagles off to a rocky start so far. And let's take a look at the natural gas quarterback efficiency ratings. These are NFL ratings led by Troy Aikman of Dallas with Scott Mitchell of Miami hot on his heels. Ken O'Brien at 64.7. Not enough attempts to qualify officially, but as you see, far down in the ratings. First down for the Dolphins. The ball inside their own 20-yard line. First down pass from Mitchell. Sets up a screen. Higgs with blockers. And a good defensive play, limiting it to a gain of 6 by Joyner and Hager, playing off the interference to make the tackle of Higgs.
The key to any screen pass is the patience of the quarterback. He has to be a bullfighter. Let those bulls get as close as possible. William Perry there charging from the outside, and he held on to it just long enough to allow those blockers to get out in front and disguised it pretty well.
Scott Mitchell 3 of 6 for 40 yards, including a touchdown here in the first quarter. Started out 0-3. Hits. Hit and dropped after a short gain. He will not have enough for the first down, I don't believe. He's going to be about a yard short. Depends on the spot of the football here, and he gets a fairly generous spot, but it's going to be a yard short.
Speaking of bullfighters, I think the Fridge did a little Olay on this one. Just right underneath. Got half a hook on Mark Higgs.
Well, Higgs is only 5'7". He's ducked under a lot of big guys at his time. Dolphins have converted 3 of 4 third downs in this first quarter. They only need out a yard, maybe less than that. He's going to pass. And he's got a wide open Irving Fryer at midfield. Fell down and then is dropped as he tries to run again by Andre Waters.
Well, if you want to know why Don Shula is on the verge of breaking this record, play action on 3rd and 1. Get your top receiver, Irving Fryer, working against a strong safety, Andre Waters. No way in the world they're going to win that matchup. Lucky for the Eagles, that wasn't a touchdown.
As it was, 21 yards and a first down for Shula Dolphins. Ball just short of the Miami 49-yard line, and the Dolphins leading 6-0. Another first down pass from Mitchell. Another long one, broke it up at the last minute. Intended for Fryer, or was it Jackson? But William Thomas was the man that got in there to bat it away. It was Keith Jackson right down the center of the field, and Thomas batted it to the turf.
And those are jeers for Keith Jackson. He had the coverage he wanted. Look at this, wide open down the middle of the field. Had a chance to go for 6, and the ball just faded in behind him. I wonder if that's a case of Keith Jackson not being used to a left-handed quarterback. On a left-handed quarterback's ball, it will fade back to the left, and it really didn't look like Keith Jackson anticipated that.
I thought Thomas got a piece of it, but he didn't appear so on the replay. That pass intended for Byers. Too long as Mitchell was feeling the heat of the rush from William Thomas. Byers gets a jeer or two, huh?
These Philadelphia fans have really enjoyed that. First, Keith Jackson had a chance for one, and now Keith Byers. And Scott Mitchell is going to get slung around a little bit by William Thomas.
6 defensive backs on for the Philadelphia Eagles as the Dolphins try to convert another third down. This one is 3rd and 10. 45% this season. That's 5th in the NFL. They're 4 of 5 today. Mitchell. That'll be picked off. Intercepted by Rich Miano, the free safety. Mitchell had a misread with his receiver, O.J. McDuffie, and Miano made a diving interception. For Miano, his 4th interception of the season. That's tops on the Eagles.
Well, we talked about the great finesse of Scott Mitchell. This time, too much finesse, as he just tried to throw the thing up over the top. A horrible throw, a horrible decision by Scott Mitchell.
So Mitchell with the interception on the season. That is only his 3rd interception. He's thrown 8 touchdown passes.
Looking at the AFC Offensive Player of the Month in Scott Mitchell, and there's Rich Miano, who comes up with his 4th interception of the year.
Herschel Walker, nowhere to go. Got perhaps 3 yards as he stopped short of the 40 by Brian Cox.
Just right over the middle here was the pattern, but Scott Mitchell tried to drop it in over the top, as we saw him do earlier with Mark Ingram, and the ball is nowhere close, and Miano, just playing center field, makes the easy interception.
Rich Miano's 4th kick of 1993. Eagles need to get some offense brewing, though. They've done nothing. Walker had a seam for a moment. Maybe another 3 yards. He's going to be too short of the first down.
And Herschel Walker has really become the go-to guy for this Philadelphia Eagles offense since the injury to Randall Cunningham and Fred Barnett. He has twice as many carries since that injury as he did before, so they're trying to just work it on the ground. The Eagles and Rich Kotite really feel like that they can run the football on anybody. Nice line surge that time up front. David Alexander, Mike Shadd.
Walker's also the 3rd leading receiver. He's carried 4 times for 14 yards today. Fake to Walker. O'Brien rolls. He's got a man complete. It's James Joseph, and Joseph has the initial first down of the game for the Eagles. Stopped just short of the Dolphin 45 by Brown.
Great call by Rich Kotite, 3rd down and 2. And look at all the bodies in here for the Miami Dolphins. This was a run-stop defense. They come out with the bootleg, surprise the Dolphins, and pick up a big first down. That's what the Eagles are going to have to do. They can't just be conservative on offense. I know Ken O'Brien, not the most mobile guy in the world, but they really need to open this thing up.
O'Brien looks down the sideline, turns the other way, and gets it to Walker. Walker evades the first tackler and pounds to the 40-yard line. Gain of about 6 yards. Walker tackled there by Marco Coleman.
And the play would have been even better but for the laziness on the part of Maurice Johnson. He walked down the field basically and turned around and really didn't give Herschel Walker even a block once he made the catch. Not a good effort at all by Maurice Johnson.
Closing seconds of quarter number 1. Walker, no block at the point of attack. He's ridden out of bounds for a loss on the play by Troy Vincent. That one never had a chance to develop.
And the reason is right here. The Dolphins were able to stack that thing up at the point of attack, force Herschel Walker to bounce it to the outside, and Troy Vincent in good position as the cornerback, not giving up that outside contained position and just riding Herschel Walker out of bounds.
And that play will bring quarter number 1 to a close. At the end of the first quarter at the Vet in Philadelphia, Miami Dolphins leading. the Eagles by a 6-0 count. Eagle fans haven't had much to cheer about as we begin the second quarter. 6-0 Miami. Third down facing the Eagles. They've converted only 1 of 4 so far today. It's 3rd and 4. O'Brien to Herschel Walker in the flat. One man to beat, a linebacker, and Walker is wrapped up and stopped by Brian Cox. Cox went one-on-one with Walker and won the battle decisively. Now scuffle. Thompson with a push of Brian Cox. Roderick Thompson.
One thing I can tell you is Brian Cox is not afraid of anybody. I remember a Monday Night Football game. He charged all the way across the field to take on the entire Cincinnati Bengals team after a fight. Did a nice job of clearing out the zone so Herschel could go one-on-one against Brian Cox. Unfortunately, Brian Cox was the better athlete in that situation.
Hunt by Eagles. Fair catch called for, and then down by the Eagles at the 1. Vaughn Hebron, the rookie, made a catch of the punt to down it at the 1-yard line. Officially 40 yards, but a great play by Vaughn Hebron. Let's go to Jim Lampley in New York. Jim?
For the day's critical college football note, earlier we showed you the CNN USA Today coaches poll with Notre Dame ranked #1 and Nebraska with a 10-point margin over Florida State for second. Here's the other half of the story. The AP poll has Florida State ahead of Nebraska by 77 points. Net result in the Bold Coalition poll, Florida State is #2. Now let's go back to Tom and Chris.
All right, Jim, thanks. So if that would hold, it might mean a rematch between Notre Dame and Florida State, but still a lot of games to be played, including a tough one next week, Boston College for the Irish, coming off that emotional high. Back up to the 1. Here are the Dolphins trying to pound it out. Mark Higgs gets only a yard.
Just a beautiful play. Remember that the punt team, as long as the receiver is nowhere around, has the right to catch the ball in the air. Beautiful kick by Eagles and tremendous coverage down the field. And we've got a big moment going in the ball game right now, because if this Eagles defense can make a stand, force the Dolphins to punt out of their own end zone, maybe the offense will wake up and create a little excitement in this crowd.
Thus far, Miami only 6 yards rushing against the NFL's worst rush defense, trying to pound it out of their own end zone here. Play action pass. Mitchell swings to Byers, who blocked it.
Boy, just beautifully set up by the Dolphins off the play action. Really kind of a short yardage offense play. Byers wide open, had plenty of room to run. And I don't know if it's a case of the jitters or exactly what's going on, but Keith Byers just does not drop a pass like that.
Miami's been good on third down conversions. This is a crucial one at their own 1-yard line, leading 6-0. Mitchell completes the pass, but only to the 5-yard line, well short of the first down. Fryer made the catch and then was immediately dropped by Ben Smith.
But Tom, that's a good play by the Miami Dolphins, because they were backed up on their own 1-yard line. What Don Shula wants to do here is just give his punter enough room to kick this football out of here. 15 yards is what they need now, and that's what they've gotten. Just a very simple pattern, and Ben Smith was more than happy to give that to the Miami Dolphins.
Dale Hatcher standing at the back of his own end zone. Steps up and delivers an end-over-end punt. Sikahema at the 44. Dances his way to the 40. Cuts up and dives close to the 35-yard line. Sikahema with that return, over 3,000 for his career. Only the 3rd in NFL history. 6-0 Miami, but great field position for the Eagles after special teams play excellence. Otis Smith made the catch of a punt at the 1. The defense held, and now the Eagles begin at the Miami 36.
And a huge drive for the Eagles offense. Now, they haven't scored more than 10 points in the last 4 games. They need to take advantage of this field position.
Vaughn Hebron, the rookie, on the pitch. To the outside, he's got a first down. Lowers his head and bangs to the 22-yard line. Run out by Lewis Oliver. 12 yards it is for Hebron on his first carry.
The Eagles offense has really struggled in the last 4 games without Randall Cunningham. As you can see, not one game over 300 yards of offense. In the first 4 games with Cunningham and Fred Barnett, they averaged 363 per game. Nice bit of excitement there by Von Hebron to wake up the crowd.
He's going to try the other side on the pitch. And again has pretty good success. Keeps his balance and is stopped just short of the 15-yard line. Dwight Hollier finally tripped up the rookie free agent from Virginia Tech.
And Tom, I just don't understand how you don't give Von Hebron the football. Here's a guy that just adds another dimension to your offense. I asked Rich Kotite that very question yesterday, and he said simply that Herschel Walker and Heath Sherman have been outplaying him. I find that a little hard to believe.
38 total yards for the Eagles, but driving here, Hebron gets a block on the corner, bounces to the outside, and again makes a tough run close to the first down. Troy Vincent on the tackle.
What the Eagles lack offensively in their backfield is somebody with a little quickness. You see the speed, you see the quickness of Von Hebron, and here's a guy that can make something happen for you offensively. Herschel Walker has been playing very well, but I think on occasion, here's a guy that can add a spark to your offense.
3 carries, 24 yards for Hebron. You saw his numbers at Virginia Tech, the former Crap All-American from Baltimore. And the measurement giving the Eagles a first down.
Hebron was an undrafted free agent, and sometimes I think that works against guys in the National Football League. They think that if they're not a high draft choice that they shouldn't be starting, but here's a guy that has clearly impressed.
Hebron out, replaced by Heath Sherman in the backfield for the Eagles. And give to Sherman. Short gain on first down as the Eagles test the center of the Miami defense, and Cross and Coleman combine on the tackle.
Von Hebron coming back in the game to a nice ovation, and just a quick trap right up the middle and nowhere to go. What Hebron is giving the Eagles offense is the ability to run outside, not inside. They've had no success inside, but outside Hebron is giving them a spark.
Eagles 3,000 yards, scored 62 touchdowns in his Baltimore high school career. They're going to pitch it to him again. Good blocking in front, and he slips and falls and is covered by Cox.
Well, the spark just went out. Brian Cox smothered him and took away the oxygen. Brian Cox has been all over the field defensively, made the play earlier against Herschel Walker. I think a message is being sent by Brian Cox that if you want to run the football, you might want to try it to the other side. He's lined up deep. Defensive line does a nice job of keeping those offensive linemen off of him, allow them to scrape to the outside and make the play.
3rd and long for the Eagles. They converted only 1 of 5, 3rd down. Play action pass. O'Brien has time. Lost it for the end zone. Touchdown. Calvin Williams.
There was short motion in the backfield, and Troy Vincent was really left on an island. Williams was on the inside, and James Joseph was on the outside. And Ken O'Brien did a nice job of looking off Troy Vincent to hit the wide open Calvin Williams.
And Barr's extra point gives the Eagles the lead. From Philadelphia, Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, where the Eagles have just taken a 7-6 lead on the Dolphins. McDuffie from the goal line. Jose spun down at the 20-yard line by James Joseph.
Here's the key guy, Troy Vincent, right here. When you're going to see Sherman or go back over here, and then the receiver back in that side, and Troy Vincent is going to be left on an island, and Ken O'Brien does a nice job looking him off and then finding Calvin Williams in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. O'Brien, after that rough start in this ball game, the 3 sacks, has maintained his poise and brought his team back to take the lead now.
And for Williams, touchdown number 6 this season. 6.36-yard drive set up by great special teams coverage. Mark Higgs, Walker in front. Higgs tripped up at the 25 by Ben Smith.
What a nice play by Ben Smith, coming up and forcing from the corner. He had been out all week with the flu. Hadn't practiced until Friday. Maybe got his bell rung a little bit on that one, but watch Ben Smith coming up here from the corner position and staying low and just taking the leg right from out underneath Mark Higgs. Good corner play.
2nd and 5 for Miami, trailing by a point after a blown extra point attempt. Keith Byers, a couple of yards. Seth Joyner, his old friend, hangs him to the turf, and then a little punch or two thrown. I think that was Ron Heller, the former Eagle, that took a swipe at one of his former teammates.
They were all open about the fact that it was going to be a little nasty. You're talking about 3 of the nastier guys that used to play here in Philadelphia, between Byers and Jackson and Ron Heller, and a couple of those guys a little bit upset the fact that Rich Kotite really didn't feel like they would be starters or major contributors to this team. They're trying to prove him dead wrong.
Mitchell from the gun on 3rd down. Pass too wide for his intended receiver, Mark Ingram.
And boy, it's amazing what a little offense will do for the Philadelphia Eagles' emotion defensively. The Eagles' defensive line now beginning to get up the field, putting some pressure on Scott Mitchell. A big 3rd down stop. Turn that ball back over to an offense now that has a little momentum on its side.
And Sikahema awaits the Hatcher punt. Sails to Sikahema way back at the 20-yard line. Got away from the first man. Up the sideline, Sikahema with blockers. Still on his feet, tripped up at the 45-yard line. 25-yard, Sikahema return. Widener tripped him up. The punt covered 53, but then Sikahema brings it back 25. And the Eagles suddenly have the momentum here in the 2nd quarter. By Sikahema has passed 3,000 yards in punt returns, and his last one, the best, it covered 25 yards. And the New Life Eagles go with Von Hebron in the backfield again. And Ken O'Brien, after 3 sacks the first 2 possessions, has hit 5 of 7 passes. Hebron, with a head of steam, bounces off one man and then is slammed down by Grimsley. And Hollier.
Wow. What a hit by John Grimsley, who's coming off rotator cuff surgery in January. Came up and almost took Hebron's head off. Watch the collision between these two. Hebron coming with the counter OT, and
oh
man,
I could hear it.
Didn't knock Hebron down though.
Hollier finally did though after a gain of 2, maybe 1.5 to be exact. Outside, cuts up. He'll be about 2 yards short of the first down. Jarvis Williams pins him to the turf, but another good run by Von Hebron, who's averaging almost 5 yards a carry here in the first half.
We talked to the offensive coordinator, Zeke Bartkowski, of the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday, and he said one thing he's really been emphasizing with his running backs this year is to pay attention to the cutback lanes. Everybody is trying to flow so hard to the strong side on us that there are some big gaps on the backside. That time Hebron was able to take advantage of it.
O'Brien calls a timeout. Play clock was down to 2. And O'Brien didn't like something he sees. He'll go to the sideline to confer with the coaching staff, trying to hold on to a 1-point lead. 6.5 left, 2nd quarter. Don Shula in search of that elusive record win, number 325. sees his team trailing by a point, breaking on top 6-0, and then seeing Philadelphia gather the momentum. And he may need some luck to get out of here with that win. Third down play. O'Brien fakes. Tosses incomplete, intended for Joseph. Out of his reach. Brian Cox covering him out of the backfield. And the Eagles will have to punt. There's 73. Lester Holmes, the Eagles' first-round draft choice out of Jackson State, who had been activated only 4 games prior to today and had played only 1 play, and that was as a blocking fullback against Dallas, seeing his first action here at guard, replacing Ron Hallstrom.
And last year he was the only one AA player nominated for the Butkus Award, so Richie Kotite feeling like time to get him in there and find out what he can do.
Another beautiful punt by Feagles. McDuffie with a fair catch at about the 12 or 13-yard line. Feagles has been on his game today. That one 35 yards, but not the distance that counts. It was the hang time and the fact that it backed the Dolphins up once again. Well, as you know, I'm sure if you're a college football fan or any kind of football fan, one of the great college games in history, 1-2, Notre Dame Stadium yesterday. The Irish just holding on 31-24. That last charge by Charlie Ward and the Seminoles. Meanwhile, Boston College wins its 7th in a row, blanking Pittsburgh 33-0. That sets up the match from South Bend next weekend. Foley against McDougal, Boston College against Notre Dame, as the Irish, their final game of the season, trying to remain unbeaten and #1. We'll have it for you, of course, here on NBC. Mitchell's pass in the flat is complete for a short game. Fryer with the catch and hit immediately by Allen and Waters.
Tom, we've talked about the problems that the Eagles defense has had against the run, but they have been outstanding against the pass. They're #1 in the NFC against the pass and 2nd in the NFC with 10 interceptions. They're allowing opposing quarterbacks to only complete less than 50% of their passes. So this secondary, very good for Philadelphia.
Toss it to Kirby. Hit in the backfield and driven back with Ben Smith again leading the charge from that cornerback spot. Smith has been playing the run awfully tough today.
And Bud Carson told me yesterday that the biggest thing he wanted to see was a chance for this Eagles defense to play with the lead. He said, we've been behind so much since the injury to Randall Cunningham that we've never had a chance to play in front. Well, now they have that opportunity.
A tenuous 1-point lead for Carson, though, as the Dolphins face a 3rd and 3. That play stopped before it got started. It wasn't a delay of game. I'm not sure what it was. Gordon McCarter will tell us, no doubt.
Charge timeout. Philadelphia, #1. 40-second timeout.
Could they have possibly had too few men on the field defensively? In any case, timeout called by the Eagles.
Just felt like that they didn't have the right people on the field, or didn't feel like that it was the appropriate defense. So Bud Carson taking a timeout, really nothing lost with that. Big 3rd down play.
Gordon McCarter said the first timeout, but I believe it's the second, isn't it? Didn't O'Brien call one earlier?
You'll be right. It was interesting when I was talking to Bud Carson yesterday. He said, you know, of all the players, I said, of all the players that left here, which player do you miss the most? And he said, Randall Cunningham. He said, that man kept my defense off the field and seemed to always be able to convert on 3rd down. He said, lately we have just been on the field way too much. Of course, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns a few years ago. Not particularly crazy about a few things that Art Modell had to say about him either.
Why doesn't that surprise me? Mitchell from the shotgun. Drills it complete. Keith Jackson with a catch, and the former Eagle has a Dolphin first down.
The Eagles came with a big blitz, and Keith Jackson made a nice read and also takes a bow. Just got down enough for the first down, turned around, and Scott Mitchell did a nice job of throwing it away from the defender here so that only Keith Jackson could make the play.
What did Keith say yesterday? He knew the boos were going to be coming. He was just going to enjoy the moment.
Yeah, he said, hey, if they boo Santa Claus, they're going to boo me too.
Still has a condo in Philadelphia. Play-action pass. Mitchell going deep down the sideline for Ingram, and he's got it. Ingram spun down at the 5-yard line by Ben Smith. There's a penalty marker on the play. It's down where the tackle was made.
Scott Mitchell got the one-on-one coverage on the outside, and Mark Ingram just outran Ben Smith.
If it stands, it'll cover 69 yards.
I think you're going to get a face mask on the end of the play and put it down on about the 2.5.
Face mask by the tackler, half the distance, first down, goal to go.
Nothing fancy about this play. You learn this one in the backyard. One guy takes off, runs as fast as he can, and the other guy tries to catch up. Mark Ingram, tremendous speed, and then a nice job of the concentration. Ben Smith's going to grab the face mask at the end of the play just to keep him out of the end zone. Perfectly thrown ball by Scott Mitchell.
Mitchell looking good. And first and goal, Dolphins bidding to recapture the lead here in the second quarter. High formation, tailback Higgs, airborne and short of the goal line. It'll be spotted inside the 1 and second and goal for the Dolphins.
Well, I can't help think of all the great goal line stands that I've seen over the years from this Philadelphia Eagles defense, but now Reggie White and company. Jerome Brown, of course, no longer here after his passing. Just wonder if this bunch has that same kind of heart.
Myers and Higgs, I formation. Higgs again. Touchdown. Mark Higgs, in his 6th year from Kentucky, has his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season.
And Mark Ingram is saying, please, coach, just keep throwing that one deep. That guy can't cover me. Got to be a little bit of a relief for Don Shula. There's so much pressure now hanging over his head after the loss last week, and you know, all the media attention, and people really don't know what to say after you lose one when you're going for the record. I'm sure that he'd really like a chance just to get that thing over and done with.
Remember, they blew the first extra point attempt. Stoyanovich, though, boots this one through. And so the Dolphins bounce back on top with 3:21 left in the second quarter. In scoring position, then Mark Higgs rammed it in on the score.
Mark Higgs only 5'7", but with great leaping ability and great power for a little guy, and just takes it and runs right through the arm tackle of Seth Joyner for the easy touchdown.
Only 5'7", but he has thighs like oak trees.
And we did have a chance to talk with Richie Kotite yesterday about the possibility of Bernie Kosar coming here. He said they did indeed, after he cleared waivers, talk to Mr. Kosar, who had been acting as his agent, and Mr. Kosar informed them that the Philadelphia Eagles were a distant third behind Dallas and Miami. They were interested.
Stoyanovich with kickoff. Sikahema and Walker, the deep men for the Eagles.
Go, Mike, go, Mike, go, Mike, go!
Sikahema on a reverse. They'll hand it off. Smith still going, and just short of the 40-yard line is spun out of bounds. Otis Smith, who earlier made the great downing of the punt inside the Dolphin 1, gets the handoff on the reverse from Sikahema.
A bit of trickery out of Rich Kotite. They do a nice job of setting it up the middle, and the reverse is coming. Only a handful of players out here that could possibly make the play. Nice job of running that one down from behind by Bruce Alexander.
He lose his shoe in the process there? Was it? Or tape flapping?
Rich Kotite feeling like got to pull all the bags out of the trick with the offense struggling the way that it has been.
O'Brien. Pass to Williams is complete. Close to midfield, and an Eagle first down. In front of J.B. Brown, it goes for 14 yards.
There was some doubt as to whether or not Calvin Williams was going to start this game because of a hip injury, but he appears to be running very well. J.B. Brown unable to keep his footing, and Calvin Williams, who had such a huge day against the Redskins earlier this year, 8 catches, 181 yards, 3 touchdowns, has been kind of silent lately, though. Just 6 catches in his last 3 games.
O'Brien fakes one way, screen to Walker. Caught from behind almost, managed to get away and to the 40-yard line. That'll be another Eagle first down. Lewis Oliver, as Herschel Walker shows us a bit of nifty running on the screen.
Boy, and I like what Zeke Bartkowski and Rich Kotite are doing with this offense. They've really pulled out all the stops that time with the fake screen to one side, come back to a screen on the other side with Herschel Walker. Wonder if maybe Zeke learned that one from Bart Starr in his days as a backup behind Bart at Green Bay.
7 of 10 for O'Brien. Walker has caught 4 of those. O'Brien to Hebron in the flat. He'll go one-on-one and will get away. Hebron with a nice move. He got maybe 7 yards. Troy Vincent stops him after he gets the 7-yard gain, which brings us to the 2-minute warning. 13-7, but the Eagles try to mount a drive before halftime. And at intermission, stay with us for the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. Jim Lampley and Mike Ditka, all the scores and highlights. Plus, Ahmad Rashad will have his midseason report coming up at halftime here. Ahmad will tell us his thoughts halfway through the NFL season. Don Shula, hoping to become the all-time winningest NFL coach. 325 would be the magic number. Trying to hold off the Eagles here, though, before halftime, leading 13-7. Hebron has a block. Hebron makes a move at the 20, and he's down to the 11-yard line. Great block by Mike Shad in front of Vaughn Hebron, who turned it into a key first down run. Oliver and Hollier finally got him down.
Don't tell me this Vaughn Hebron isn't some kind of a running back. You see number 79, Mike Shad's going to throw the key block on the outside, but it's the speed of Hebron that allowed him to get around the corner, and then a nice move for another 10 yards. Mr. Electric for these Eagles, Vaughn Hebron.
23 yards on this run. Here's O'Brien, fakes the pass, hands to Walker, and Herschel is to the 7-yard line.
One of the things that Richie Kotite was really happy about with Herschel Walker is that he's sort of eliminated all those tippy-toe steps that had been such a problem in the past, and especially in Minnesota. Now seems to be running much harder than he did with the Vikings.
Walker the only setback as they go with 2 tight ends, Bavaro and Johnson. That's Johnson in motion. And O'Brien's going to throw for the end zone. Drills it complete. Calvin Williams has the Eagle touchdown.
What is it about Ken O'Brien against the Miami Dolphins? He just always seems to tear them up. Another one to Calvin Williams. Kenny O'Brien told us yesterday that he feels so much more comfortable with this Eagles offense after being in it now for a few weeks, and I am beginning to be a believer.
What an impressive drive by the Eagles to take the lead just before halftime. O'Brien with his 2nd touchdown pass.
We really thought there was a pretty good chance that Kenny O'Brien would have been benched by this point in the game and the Bubby Brister would be in. But O'Brien by far playing his best as an Eagle.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
He's 9 of 12, 69 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Barr's extra point puts Philadelphia back in front by 1 at 14-13.
So now the Philadelphia Eagles have scored more points than they have at any time in this losing streak. They scored 6 against Chicago, 10 against the Giants, 10 at home against Dallas, and just 3 last week on the road in Phoenix. And Ken O'Brien, unquestionably, along with Vaughn Hebron, have been the spark.
Well, Shula again sees his team down a point as he gets ready to head to the locker room. 36 seconds left.
Tom, I really think that the key play on that drive was the reverse on the kickoff return. Miami seemed to have all the momentum after the bomb, and then all of a sudden, Richie Kotite comes back with the reverse, and it just seemed to shift the momentum back towards the Eagles.
Meanwhile, as the kick is getting ready to take place from Barr there at the 42-yard line of the Eagles, if they get a block. There we go. Barr booms it. McDuffie will down it in the end zone.
Those pigeons didn't last long once the kickoff team started coming down the field.
How would you like to see William Perry over there on the sideline?
He might have him for lunch.
I wonder if Williams had a Philly cheesesteak yet.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's had just one. He really is an entertaining guy, though. You seem so relaxed and
what
so
about him
comfortable.
running pass routes in practice yesterday?
He was looking good.
His personality infectious. I think he's a good guy to have on your team.
I agree.
Keith Millard is replacing Perry in the Eagles defensive lineup at the moment.
Now see if the Dolphins choose to just sit on this thing and run out the clock with 36 seconds or open it up and take a couple of shots down the field.
Well, Mitchell's in the shotgun. 6 defensive backs on for the Eagles. And Mitchell sacked. Mike Flores gets the sack. The Eagles have the lowest sack total in the NFL, but they get one here off Scott Mitchell.
Mike Flores is the guy that took over for Reggie White. He had only 3 tackles his first 2 years playing behind Reggie White, but in college he was a sack master. His junior year had 13 sacks, and his senior year had 17 sacks, so that's not an unusual circumstance for him to get to the quarterback.
11th round draft choice out of the University of Louisville. That is his first career sack. Terry Kirby to the 20, and that'll bring the half to a close. The surprising Philadelphia Eagles trying to put a crimp in Don Shula's record plans. And at halftime, Philadelphia leading the Miami Dolphins by 1, 14-13. Now let's go to Jim Lampley for the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. Welcome back to the vet. The surprising Philadelphia Eagles up 1 on the Miami Dolphins, 14-13. Will Don Shula be denied that record win once more? Impressive first half by Philadelphia.
Yeah, and something very significant at the end of the first half. Seth Joyner was injured on the very last play, and I don't know what his status is coming out here for the second half, but he apparently just got twisted his foot underneath as he was making the tackle, and with all the injuries these Eagles have had already, they cannot afford to lose him. He's their leader.
Ken O'Brien had an impressive first half. As you see, Joyner out ready for the second half of play. Sacked 3 times in the first 2 possessions and then directing 2 touchdown drives.
I thought that Ken O'Brien just played a magnificent half of football, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it seems that every time that he plays against the Miami Dolphins, he just has a huge game.
And there's the second half kickoff, and McDuffie with a good return for the Dolphins to the 37-yard line. O.J. McDuffie with a nice return to open the second half for Miami. Let's take a look at our Coors Light halftime stats, and the one that jumps out there is the lack of rushing yardage for the Dolphins.
Everybody else has been able to run the football against this Philadelphia Eagles defense, but apparently the fridge has been a factor in this one so far.
And there's Joyner back on the field to open the second half for the Eagle defense. First down, Miami. They're at their own 36-37-yard line. Mitchell fakes the handoff, and then the pass ruled incomplete. And Keith Byers once again has dropped the pass. William Thomas had him wrapped up, and Byers has had a tough day on his return to the vet.
And the vet crowd's giving it to him pretty good. He was really upset when we talked to him that Rich Kotite had told us earlier in the day that he would not have been the starting tight end had he stayed here in Philadelphia. And Keith Byers just said that was a bunch of bull. He said, ain't nobody on that football team that could have possibly beaten me out.
That performance is making Kotite a profit today. Mitchell tries to run, lowers his head, and crosses the 40 to about the 44. Covered there by Andy Harmon. And did he hurt his arm as he dived to the turf?
Tom, I was just about to say that why in the world is Scott Mitchell going head first into a pile of Philadelphia Eagles? They already have lost Dan Marino. And Doug Peterson now warming up on the sideline.
In his first year out of Northeast Louisiana, a free agent who played against Kansas City on October 31st, had 1 carry for -1 yard, did not have a pass attempt, although they botched an extra point in that game. He was on the Miami practice team a year ago, played in the World League.
Didn't really see, looked like maybe his offhand got hit. I don't know if it was, remember he's left-handed. Can't tell. We'll try and tell you more when we come back.
This could be a Rocky-like comeback for the Eagles if they can upset the Dolphins and break a 4-game losing streak. Scott Mitchell, taken from the field just a few moments ago, injured, means that Doug Peterson takes over at quarterback. Has not attempted an NFL pass. Hands to Byers. Twisting, turning, and close to the first down. William Thomas wrapped him up. Steve DeBerg was signed this week to be a backup quarterback for Miami, but he is the 3rd quarterback, which means he can only play if the first 2, Mitchell and Peterson, go down.
Steve DeBerg, of course, was just waived by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This very close to a first down. They're going to bring the sticks out for a measurement. Dan Marino, obviously no help, but Steve DeBerg over for maybe a word of advice just in case he has to go in this one.
It's going to be just short of the first down, short by about a foot.
I tell you, now it's an interesting decision for Don Shula. You've got your 3rd-string quarterback in the game. The Eagles have the lead. It's not like you've got automatic offense anymore, and I believe they're going to go for it here. Probably simply because Doug Peterson is now the quarterback.
So 4th and a foot for the Dolphins. The ball at the Miami 46-yard line. They have converted 4 of 9 this season. The Eagles leading by 1, opening drive of the 3rd quarter. And they could be trying to draw them offside. They'll take the delay of game penalty and punt. Eagles didn't bite. So Shula, drawing on that lengthy experience, tried to draw Kotite's Eagles offside, and Philadelphia was ready for it.
And now we have a whole new football game. You no longer have the AFC's Offensive Player of the Month, Scott Mitchell, in as your quarterback. You've got Doug Peterson, who last played in the World Football League with the New York, New Jersey Knights.
Hatcher's punt. Sikahema takes it on a fair catch at the 10-yard line. Complexion of the game has changed. Miami's starting quarterback is injured. Scott Mitchell out of the game with a left shoulder injury. He'll be taken in for x-rays as he dived on a scramble to this hard Veterans Stadium turf.
And the fact that he did not slide, so significant there. Those 3 or 4 yards at the end of the play simply not significant as Andy Harmon put his helmet right on the left shoulder pad of Scott Mitchell. What an unbelievable blow for these Dolphins.
And that left shoulder bounced hard off the turf. Walker and Hebron in the backfield at the same time. Walker blocking for Hebron. He tries the cutback and gets short yardage on first down.
Now it's up to Tom Olivadotti and this defensive squad to make things happen for the Miami Dolphins. You have to question what they're going to be able to do offensively without Scott Mitchell. Now defensively, these Dolphins have looked for respect for so many years. Now it's their time to step up.
O'Brien. Complete in the flat, Hebron fumbles the ball, and Miami has recovered at the 20. A.B. Brown picked up the turnover.
Von Hebron with a nice move, but it simply got away from him as his arm swung out. It was knocked free, and Dwight Hollier came up with the recovery. Nice job here catching the football. Now going to try to make a quick move, but right there as he came in, it looked like maybe Brian Cox got a hand on the football and knocked it free, and Dwight Hollier recovered it. What a huge break for the Miami Dolphins.
It was J.B. Brown, I think, that knocked the ball loose. Brown, I think, that knocked the ball loose, and then Hollier falls on it. So let's see if Peterson can take advantage of the turnover. Dolphins from the Philadelphia 20. Keith Myers dives to the 15. Smith and Hager tripping up Keith Myers. That's his best run of the day. It nets 5 yards.
And now a great challenge for this Philadelphia Eagles defense that has been absolutely killed against the run. You've got the third-string quarterback in now for the Miami Dolphins. You know Don Shula would love to be able to keep it on the ground, but Bud Carson has to come up with a scheme to force Doug Peterson to put the ball in the air.
Myers and Higgs in the backfield. That's McDuffie in the slot, now in motion. Peterson hands to Higgs. Slips away from one man. Higgs is to the 3. Flag down.
Mark Higgs, who had been challenged this year by Terry Kirby, many thought that he should not be the starting running back.
Personal foul, face mask, number 38, defense, half the distance, first down, goal to go.
But Mark Higgs is one of the more underrated backs in the National Football League. He's led the Dolphins in rushing the last couple of years, and you can see why. What a brilliant move to escape the initial contact. And O.J. McDuffie, the rookie, down the field, came up with a key block to spring him for the extra yards.
Higgs closing in on 2,500 yards rushing for the Dolphins. Quite a year for the Eagles in 1989. Fumble. Eagles got it back. Andy Harmon with a fumble recovery as Peterson and his center Jeff Dallenbach, 2 men new to those positions, fumble the exchange.
Tom, you may have just hit on the key. Jeff Dallenbach has been filling in now for Jeff Ulenake at center, new quarterback, unbelievable fumble.
Earlier in the game, he fumbled the center snap on an extra point attempt, which was missed, resulting in the Eagles' 1-point lead, and then he fumbles the snap from center when it appeared the Dolphins were going to take it in.
Jeff Dallenbach, who has been playing guard until the injury to Jeff Ulenake, a part of a very inexperienced combination at center and quarterback, calls that fumble.
O'Brien from his end zone down the sideline for Williams. Almost a tremendous catch. Williams already has 2 touchdown receptions from O'Brien today as the Eagles go for the big gainer on first down from their own end zone. Troy Vincent defending.
Calvin Williams trying to make a Lynn Swann-like catch. Remember that play in the Super Bowl? Almost came up with it with 2 touchdown passes on the day. He led this Eagles team with 7 touchdowns last season, and already this year now has 7.
Football is just across the Eagle 2. In the shadow of their own goal line. Hebron trying to pound it out. Didn't get much. Dwight Hollier hit him first. Jeff Cross was there too.
Always so important to get it out past that 5-yard line. You want your punter to have room to kick it. Boy, what a game this has been. Just twists and turns and plots and subplots, injured players. Rich Kotite, he's used to it. This has been an unbelievable year as far as the loss of stars for Rich Kotite, and now the same thing happening to Don Shula.
Third and long for the Eagles. Trying to get it on the ground with Hebron. Made a nice run, and that'll be a first down. Von Hebron, a determined run, picks up a key Eagle first down. Jarvis Williams finally tackled him.
I said it in the first half, and I'll repeat it. I don't know how you keep this young man out of the lineup. the speed, but more than that, the quickness and the cutting ability as he now tries to atone for that fumble.
Herschel Walker trotting onto the field, and let's see if he replaces Von Hebron. Actually, he was the 11th man coming in. So they have Walker and Hebron as split backs with the play clock down to 2. Just got it off. Walker spins to the 15-yard line.
Tom, all the success that the Philadelphia Eagles have had running the football today has been to the outside. Every time that Herschel Walker or Heath Sherman tries to cram it up into the middle, had very little success, but Von Hebron around the corners is where they have been able to run the football.
Hebron 10 carries, 65 yards. No gain on that first down Walker run. O'Brien's got a man, but he can't get the ball there. Flag down. Victor Bailey had split defenders. Lewis Oliver was closest to him, and Jarvis Williams was there too.
I believe J.B. Brown may have hooked Victor Bailey, the rookie, as he went by.
Illegal contact, number 37, defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
J.B. Brown, the offending party.
Bailey was running a post corner route, breaks down to the inside, and then tries to come back. And J.B. Brown just sticks out his hands. But to be honest with you, I don't like that call. I think J.B. Brown has as much right to that spot on the field as does Victor Bailey. I know you can't chuck anyone down the field as an injured Eagle on the field, Larry Webster.
I think it's Mike Shadd, number 79, the starting left guard. While they tend to them, we'll take a break. Who hasn't missed a snap all season, taken off the field with an injury. He'll be replaced by Brian Baldinger. Meanwhile, O.J. Simpson has the report on Scott Mitchell's injury. Juice?
Well, as I watch Chad be wheeled off right next to me, it's bad news for the Dolphins. I was just standing outside the Eagles locker room. They came out of there with the x-ray, and it appears to be a grade 2 separation for Scott Mitchell. Not good news, Tom.
All right, Juice. So Scott Mitchell definitely out for the remainder of the game, which leaves it on the shoulders of Doug Peterson. Brian Cox and Jeff Cross combine on the hit of Von Hebron that time. As you look at Peterson, who has had 2 costly bobbles of the football today. One, as it appeared the Dolphins were going to go in for the go-ahead score, and one on a missed extra point attempt.
And how many more bad breaks can the Philadelphia Eagles get? Losing yet another offensive lineman, Mike Shadd, now in his 8th year, has only been able to play 1 injury-free season, and that took place in 1989. Not going to make it again this year.
O'Brien has Walker, who fumbles. Hebron it was that fumbled again on Hebron. And the Dolphins have recovered. Second fumble by Von Hebron, and Troy Vincent picks up the loose football.
I don't think Von Hebron ever saw Brian Cox. Watch Brian Cox just strip the ball away once he made the catch. That's just the strength of Brian Cox. Hebron just didn't get a chance to put that football away, but it was clearly a good call by the official. He had control of the ball, took 2 steps. No question, a fumble.
Suddenly it's become a comedy of turnovers. Dolphins take over at the Eagle 27-yard line. Here's the reverse to McDuffie, and the Eagles stop him for a loss. Clyde Simmons got penetration in the backfield. Andy Harmon was there too, and the reverse went nowhere.
There haven't been many big plays this year out of Clyde Simmons, but he finally makes one here. Only 2 sacks on the year after leading the National Football League with 19 a year ago, but you're not going to trick old Clyde Simmons.
Silent pressure with the play there, and it's 2nd and long for the Dolphins. Peterson still has not attempted an NFL pass. Will it come here? It will not. Higgs inside the 30, tackled by the Fridge.
I think Don Shula now is thinking we need a field goal. They want to get the lead back. Pete Stoyanovich with a big leg and now inside the 30-yard line, may not want to take a chance with Doug Peterson dropping back into the pocket and possibly taking a sack and giving up that field position. I think they come right back with a draw again.
Here's the play in from the sideline in the person of Mark Ingram. I don't think Peterson is even capable of getting the signals from the sideline. They've been running them in with substitutions. And with the play clock running down, Peterson has to take the Dolphins' first time out of the second half.
I would be very surprised indeed to see Don Shula let Doug Peterson throw his first NFL pass in this situation. They have the field position. It would be about a 47-yard field goal, 46-yard field goal for Pete Stoyanovich. And Don Shula very much would like to get the lead back on the road.
Stoyanovich has kicked a 52-yarder this season, and overall 10 of 14 made field goals.
Because remember, even though Ken O'Brien and this Eagles offense had a good first half, they have really struggled since the injury to Randall Cunningham. Shula probably feeling that if he can just get the lead, give his defense a chance to hold on, would be the best strategy.
O'Brien and Bubby Brister discussing things on the sideline. Actually, the Eagles moving the ball those last two possessions, but they both resulted in Vaughn Hebron fumbles. Third and 11. They've converted half of their attempts so far. Peterson's in the shotgun. Hands to Kirby. Stopped well short by Mark McMillan. So Stoyanovich will come onto the field in an attempt to give the Dolphins the lead.
They're in the nickel defense. Mark McMillan, number 29, is going to read it beautifully and just come up and make the tackle. I don't think that anybody on that Eagles defense was surprised that that was a running play.
46-yard attempt for Pete Stoyanovich. Peterson, the holder. This is for the lead. And he's got it. Stoyanovich from 46 yards after the Hebron fumble puts Miami on top. Pete Stoyanovich with a field goal after the Von Hebron fumble gives Miami a 2-point lead. 16-14, 6:22 left, third quarter.
Seth Joyner was on the sideline consoling Von Hebron, who has now 2 fumbles that has really turned this football game back in favor of the Miami Dolphins. But Hebron has clearly been the offensive spark, so Seth Joyner just wanting to keep his head in the football game.
Stoyanovich puts toe to football, and Herschel Walker from the 1. Walker broke free for a moment, twisted down at the 32-yard line. Walker with a nice return. It covers 30 yards. And finally, Williams makes the tackle.
First, Rich Kotite had a shot, then Seth Joyner, who has really taken over the leadership role for these Philadelphia Eagles since the departure of Reggie White. Just wanting the young back to know that they're still behind him and still very much desperately need him. 2 fumbles on the day so far, 4 for the season, but Rich Kotite showing a lot of confidence in the young man, leaving him in.
He's gained 62 yards in 11 carries. He's in the backfield with Walker. O'Brien, after the long count, takes a short drop and flips it to Williams, and Williams will gain about 9 yards before Vincent rides him out of bounds. Mike Shad, Chris, leaves with a strained collateral ligament, another in a long string of Eagle injuries.
And there's some big names right there. Randall Cunningham, Byron Evans. They're starting inside linebacker Fred Barnett, one of the most dynamic wide receivers. And at the bottom, Tim Harris, who was really supposed to be the sack master for this Eagles team this year, really has been a non-factor.
Herschel Walker up the middle, short yardage. They only needed a little more than a yard for the first down. Let's see where they spot the football. It will be close, maybe close enough to measure. Klingbeil made the tackle for Miami.
Should say, too, that the Miami Dolphins have had their fair share of injuries as well. Their starting inside linebacker and probably their best player, John Offerdahl, has been in and out of the lineup really for a long time. He's their 5-time Pro Bowler. David Griggs had knee surgery, so the war of attrition continues in the National Football League.
John Offerdahl on the Miami sideline charting the defensive plays.
Tom Olivadotti said that, Dwight Hoyer, who has replaced him at the inside linebacker position, is a good player, but John Offerdahl is a special player. Last year he played in 6 games. Offerdahl did, completely healthy, and in those games the Dolphins were 6-0.
Eagles did pick up the first down. It's Walker and Hebron behind O'Brien. O'Brien being chased and flips it at the last minute. There's a penalty marker down as Hebron makes the catch. About a 5-yard gain. Hoyer wrapped him up immediately, but a hold against Philadelphia will nullify it. Marco Coleman was putting the pressure on O'Brien.
You just wonder if it's Mike Shadd's replacement, Brian Baldinger, who's filling in now at guard.
Holding, 78 offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
Big Anton Davis with a hold.
At the very top of the screen, number 78 just hooked the jersey and got a little piece of the shoulder pad. Fairly obvious.
That'll make it 1st and 20 now for the Eagles. Ball on the Philadelphia 32-yard line. O'Brien has Bailey breaking for the sideline, open for a moment, but the pass too wide and incomplete. And let's go to Jim Lampley in New York.
And Tom, with Ernest Givens hampered by a neck injury, Haywood Jeffries is having a field day for the Oilers. Here's the latest Moon to Jeffries shot from 12 yards out early in the 3rd quarter. It makes it 35-0 Houston over Cincinnati. After playing spiritedly for much of the season, Bengals are caving in today. Chris and Tom.
All right, Jim, and Warren Moon started slowly, was benched at one time, 4 touchdown passes.
That's a dangerous team for the second half.
Speaking of danger, O'Brien is in some and finally floats it out of bounds, throws it away, avoiding a sack. And there's a late flag just now coming in from the side judge. Marco Coleman again was all over Ken O'Brien.
Well, it's definitely not intentional grounding. He was outside the tight end box, which gives him the right to throw the ball anywhere that he wants to once it crosses the line of scrimmage.
So illegal man downfield will be the call against Philadelphia.
This game has really kind of sputtered here for about the last 10 minutes. A lot of mistakes, 3 fumbles, not a lot of offense. Maybe Don Shula knew what he was doing when he played that one conservatively and just wanted to get the lead.
Ineligible downfield, number 62 offense. Penalty decline, 3rd down.
There's the replacement, Brian Baldinger. Mentioned his name a little bit earlier. Brian Baldinger has played 11 years in the National Football League, but only 2 as a full-time starter.
James Lofton joins Bailey and Williams on this play. O'Brien can't find Calvin Williams, who made a diving attempt. Ball off his pads and incomplete with Jarvis Williams defending.
Looked like the ball just bounced off the shoulder pads of Calvin Williams. It hit his pads before it hit his hands. There's nothing wrong with using those shoulder pads kind of as a third hand, but you have to make contact with the hands to the football.
Eagles sails it toward McDuffie, fields it at the 26. Backpedals for a moment, now cuts up and dives ahead to the 37-yard line. Tackle made by Herschel Walker on special teams for the Eagles. Well, hope you'll be with us 1:30 next Saturday Eastern Time as Boston College and Notre Dame tangle. And the Boston College team was something to prove after being embarrassed at Notre Dame a year ago. And Notre Dame have to fight an emotional letdown after the big win over Florida State yesterday. Could be an interesting game for the top-ranked Irish. In the Bowl Coalition poll, which combines the CNN and AP polls, Notre Dame #1, Florida State #2 in the combination. Nebraska, which in the coaches poll had been number 2. In the coalition poll is 3rd. Byers and Higgs in the backfield. In fact, Byers in the slot as Peterson attempts his first NFL pass and way overshoots the mark as Eric Allen and Mark Ingram were battling toe-to-toe. Meanwhile, it could be a roughing the passer call against the Eagles. There is a flag down.
There's a good no call by the official down the field. 1, the ball was uncatchable, and 2, the contact was definitely incidental.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 91 defense, late hit after the pass, 15 yards, first down. Oh, come on.
Oh, come on the argument, Gordon McCarter to Andy Harmon.
Andy Harmon, who had such a big game a week ago against the Cardinals. The referee feeling like that he had a chance to control himself. A lot of times, if the defensive lineman will just throw his hands up in the air and act like he's trying to stop, the referees will give him the benefit of the doubt. Harmon took full advantage of the shot, though, on the young quarterback.
Penalties have been the undoing of the Eagles here, offensively and defensively in recent minutes. Mark Higgs squirms to the 45 of the Eagles, covered there by Rich Miano.
It's been a tough time for this Eagles defense lately against the run. The Giants, the Cowboys, the Cardinals all have had their own way, and Don Shula would like nothing better than to establish a running game now with Doug Peterson in.
Higgs can't turn the corner. Caught from behind by Seth Joyner. Actually, the Eagles have outrushed the Dolphins today, 89 yards to 82.
Bud Carson says that Seth Joyner is the league's best all-around linebacker, and he was telling us yesterday that the loss of Byron Evans at the middle linebacker position really hurt us against Phoenix, that we just didn't communicate on the field the way that we had been in the past.
3rd and 3 for the Dolphins. They lead by 2. Just over 3 minutes left, third quarter. Blitz coming on Peterson. Almost intercepted. Andre Waters had a clear shot to the goal line as he cut in front of Keith Byers. And Keith Byers lives in Florida, close to Andre Waters' mother. They go to church occasionally. It would have been a very meaningful pick for Waters, who couldn't hold on.
And it's interesting that Andre Waters told us yesterday that he and Keith Byers used to joke in practice about who could win a battle if they ever had to play against each other. And Byers told him that it was the happiest day of Andre Waters' life when he was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, and he never had to face him. Well, that time Andre Waters blew a chance to break this game open for the Eagles.
Towering punt by Hatcher, which will be downed by the Dolphins inside the 10. That was a 34-yard punt, but it backs Philadelphia up inside the Eagle 10-yard line. They'll spot it at the 9.
The Eagles also missed an interception last week against Phoenix. They could have put them back in that football game, too.
Well, Tuesday night, it's the reunion of the year featuring some of the greatest entertainers from the 70s. Special reunion performances by the Bee Gees, Donna Summer, Meatloaf, KC and the Sunshine Band, all your favorites, Chris, Olivia Newton-John, and the cast from the Brady Bunch. That's the 70s celebration, Tuesday night at 8, 7 Central, here on NBC. And during the 70s, Don Shula was winning at a 7.26 clip.
Who was listening to Bee Gees?
These kids were, weren't they? Here's Herschel Walker pounding ahead for 9 yards. Good first down run by Herschel. Jarvis Williams, what did Don Shula say? One of the reasons he was so able to adapt from generation to generation was at one time he had 5 teenagers at home. He said it was a lot of action going on around the Shula household.
A fate worse than death. 5 teenagers in the same household. He said if I can handle that, I can handle anything.
Herschel Walker's carried 9 times for 28 yards today. They held him in check. We'll get the call again, and he moves the pile ahead for an Eagle first down. Approaching the 2-minute mark, third quarter, with the Dolphins up 16-14. First down, Philadelphia.
And now the Eagles are going back to what they do best, and that's run the football. Rich Kotite said that, well, if we can run the football on the Cowboys and the Giants and all the teams that we've been running it on this year, we feel like we can run it on the Miami Dolphins too. I asked Tom Olivadotti if he would use an 8-man front against this Eagles team, and he said he'll do whatever it takes.
O'Brien in the flat. Walker. That was almost a late hit by Coleman, but no flag. Brown and Hollier forced Walker out of bounds.
Marco Coleman's going to come out of the right side of your screen and have one arm there on the shoulder, and see for that, just a little signal there. See how he just kind of tries to hold up Herschel Walker? Sometimes that'll give you a little break with the officials if you at least act like you care about the guy that you just knocked on the head.
Meanwhile, from Tampa Bay, Steve Young and Jerry Rice have hooked up for 4 touchdown passes today, as the Bucs are being pounded by the 49ers. That time Walker collared and thrown back by the Miami defense led by Chuck Klingbeil.
And this Eagles defense or offense has really gone pretty conservative here. Remember when they were making things happen, they ran the reverse, they were going the fake screen one way, coming back the other way, going with the bootlegs, and now we're seeing the running game just taking over. See if Zeke Bartkowski might open it up now on 3rd down at least.
It'll be 3rd and 9 facing the Eagle offense, trailing by 2 points with 30 seconds left in the 3rd. Ken O'Brien. That was close to interference as Bailey made the break, and Lewis Oliver got there simultaneously with the football. No flag down, and the Eagles will have to punt. Well, there is a flag. There is a flag, but it's back at the line of scrimmage. It'll be illegal procedure against the Eagles.
Looked like they had a couple of guys moving at the same time.
Illegal shift.
Right.
2 men moving and not resetting before the snap. Offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
So Feagles will punt to McDuffie. Another nice one from the foot of Feagles. McDuffie fair catch at the Dolphin 29-yard line. Feagles has had a good day. .47 yards on that boot as Peterson trots back out on the field for the Dolphins.
Getting to be a very comfortable game for Doug Peterson. As a young man, you would much prefer trying to play with a lead than playing from behind. He's shown some poise. Be interesting now. If I'm Don Shula here, I might call some kind of a play-action pass just to send a message to this Eagles defense that they are willing to throw with Doug Peterson.
15 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Eagles fake the blitz, don't come with it, and Byers drops another one. That pass was a little off target, but catchable. Byers in front of Seth Joyner. That's 4 passes today that Byers has dropped, to the delight of the fans at the Vet.
They haven't exactly been easy passes to catch, but Keith Byers has been one of the better receivers. That's a pretty tough catch.
Yeah, that was. It was behind him.
Plus, when you have Seth Joyner breathing down your neck, and what did Seth tell us that if he got a chance to take Byers' head off? He definitely would. Maybe that message has been sent along during conversations in the course of this game. He wound up in the ass there.
Peterson dumps it complete to Byers this time, shakes one man, bounces off tacklers, and has a 1st down across the 40-yard line. Determined run that time by Keith Byers, finally tackled by William Thomas, and that'll bring the 3rd quarter to a close. Back to the Vet after these messages from your local station. A ragged 3rd quarter in the books. We begin the 4th with Miami leading by 2, and the Eagles are in the game because of their improved rush defense.
Only 84 yards rushing today by the Miami Dolphins, much better than the last 3 games. You see the numbers. Astronomical as the Eagles have been last in the NFL against the run.
Peterson hands to Mark Higgs, and Higgs wrapped up by Clyde Simmons after a 3-yard gain.
The Fridge got another little pop on Mark Higgs. You just wonder if maybe the Fridge is wearing down a little bit, though, now in the fourth quarter. Not used to playing quite this much with the Chicago Bears. The Bears' new defense under Dave Wanstead really didn't fit the Fridge very well. They were playing more of a penetrating, try to get up the field kind of defense, and he's more of a stationary object.
Well, Higgs again. Used his blockers well. Finally caught Thomas and Brett Hager. He'll be 2 yards short of the first, with Sims and Webb blocking effectively for Higgs that time.
Really been impressed with William Thomas at the outside linebacker position. Watch him run this play down from behind. That's showing some tremendous speed when you can do that as an outside linebacker. A la Lawrence Taylor used to do that all the time, just ripping around the corner, because obviously the Miami Dolphins are not accounting for him in the blocking scheme.
Former Aggie was a 4th-round draft choice in '91. Dolphins with a 3rd and 2. Peterson short drop. One side, looks the other, now scrambles, flag down, and he slides for the Dolphin first down, but we could have a hold on the play. If this victory comes to set the record for Shula, it will have been a hard-fought one.
And to some degree, an ugly one. Going to be tripping against the Dolphins. And that was a big first down pickup by Doug Peterson. Now you're put back in a 2nd or 3rd and long.
Tripping. Number 60, offense, 10 yards. Repeat, 3rd down.
4th penalty, 35 yards against Miami.
And that's Bert Widener, who is now in at the right guard position, filling in for Dellenbach, who moved over to the center position because of the injury to Uline.
So now 6 defensive backs come on for the Eagles as the Dolphins face 3rd and long.
Left side of your screen, the trip.
Peterson from the gun. Incomplete.
You know, that's one of those plays that when it works, it looks awfully pretty, but when it doesn't, and you have one of those defensive linemen come out to meet you head on, OJ's thinking, yeah, we didn't run that one at Penn State, and now I understand why.
O.J. McDuffie, named by his grandmother for her favorite player. Man who's with us today, O.J. Simpson. That had to be a long time ago. Hatcher will boot it. And sails it towards Sikahema at the 14. Sikahema free for a moment. Tight ropes down the sideline. Tripped up at the 40-yard line. Another brilliant return by Vi Sikahema, who today surpassed 3,000 yards in returns. That one covered 25. City of Brotherly Love, Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, Mike Shadd back in the game at left guard after being shaken up earlier. Walker hit in the backfield, got a foot free, and manages to make a couple of yard gain out of it. Marco Coleman had him in the backfield.
Well, after a good first half of offense, we are back to that Philadelphia Eagles offense now in the second half that we know and love. A couple of fumbles, a couple of punts. They look like they may have been snapping out of their doldrums in the first half, but now here in the second half really haven't been able to put anything together.
Poor field position to boot. Herschel Walker out of the game. Lofton is in at a wide receiver spot. Williams in motion, and O'Brien fakes the handoff to Hebron and fires a strike complete to Bavaro. The Eagles' leading pass receiver with his first catch of the day results in a Philadelphia first down at the Dolphin 45. Cox and Williams covering.
And what did Richie Kotite tell us yesterday? That Mark Bavaro is quite simply the best tight end in football. He says he's the most complete player. He blocks. He can catch the football. They've had to make a few concessions to his practice time. He obviously now, as he's gotten on in his career, can't go out there and practice the way that he used to. But come game time, he has been everything that they had hoped for.
O'Brien with a handoff to Hebron, stopped in the backfield. Great penetration that time by Klingbeil. Chuck Klingbeil was 2 yards deep to trip up Hebron.
And Klingbeil really had a nice game last week against the Jets. One of the few defensive players on this Dolphins team that played well last week. Spent a couple of years in the Canadian Football League with Saskatchewan. Came to Miami in '91. Started 15 games for them last year. Just kind of a big load in the middle at 295 pounds. Good play there.
His third season from Northern Michigan. Tough pass. O'Brien got it to Williams, though. It'll be a short gain on the play. Well short of first down yardage. J.B. Brown got Williams on the crossing pattern. 5 catches, including the 2 scores for Williams.
The Dolphins have been dropping back into his own defense. That time, Brian Cox coming on the blitz. May have just been a blitz read to Calvin Williams over the middle, feeling like they had the man coverage, try to run him across the field against J.B. Brown, maybe popping for a long one.
3rd and 8 now. Shula's defense trying to hold. 3 wides, Lofton, Bailey, and Williams. O'Brien to Walker. And Herschel Walker with a first down to the 32-yard line. The Eagles really taking advantage of the multidimensional talents of Herschel Walker. 3rd leading receiver as well as being the leading rusher, lines up in the slot.
Just a zone defense, and Herschel knew exactly where the stick was, made the catch, and now watch him dive forward to make sure of that first down. Boy, it's nice to have some veteran players on your team come crunch time. That also puts the Eagles in field goal range. May give them an opportunity to take the lead back.
O'Brien has hit 16 of 24, 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. Short drop. O'Brien to Williams. Tries to get away and cannot. Tackled at the 32-yard gain.
Such a natural tendency by a wide receiver to catch that ball and want to loop backwards. There, Calvin Williams had about 3 yards on the reception. If he just turns, lowers his head, and dives forward, it's 2nd down and 4. Instead, he loops back to the outside and is going to lose a couple of yards and put the Eagles in a 2nd down and 7. Got to be willing to just stick your head in there. 2 or 3 yards on this part of the field, so important.
O'Brien after the fake, looking somewhere to the end zone. That could be intercepted. O'Brien, an ill-advised toss. Calvin Williams was double covered in the end zone, but O'Brien got away with it. Vincent and Oliver were there.
They come back to the naked bootleg, and Mark Bavaro from the backside is going to try and run the same pattern, but this time Dwight Hawyer found him, and that meant Ken O'Brien just had to throw it away. He really didn't put enough on it. He was trying to throw it out of the end zone. Lucky that one was an interception.
Numbers on O'Brien today. He's only converting 3rd downs at a 30% clip, however, and they're facing 3rd and 7.
Now you're back to the same situation that Don Shula faced earlier.
Got an injured Dolphin now, Chris, I think.
Right. Vincent. Troy Vincent, who was their #1 draft pick a year ago. But now you're back to the same situation for the Eagles that Don Shula faced a few moments ago. You're in field goal range, so you definitely want to give your kicker, Matt Barr, a chance to take the lead. Getting late in the football game now, only 8 minutes and 55 seconds remaining, and you think that Rich Kotite probably has a little more confidence in his defense than he does his offense at this point. I would be very surprised if there's any sort of a high-risk play here.
Chris Singleton, an extra linebacker, came in, replacing Vincent on the injury. O'Brien, incomplete, broken up, intended for Walker, and broken up by Alexander.
Boy, is this close. Herschel Walker on the wheel route down the sideline, has every right to come back to the football. Alexander not looking for the ball, but it hit him on the shoulder pad. And that was part of the reason that there's no foul.
Fortunate break for the Dolphins, so Barr will attempt a field goal. 47 yards to give the Eagles the lead. The Eagles with a hold. Barr with a kick. Did it stretch out? No good. 47-yard attempt by Matt Barr is no good. And Shula still in front, just barely, looking for win number 325. Woo. From the bed in Philadelphia, Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth. Now 8 minutes 45 seconds separating Don Shula from his record 325th win. Mark Higgs stopped at the 30. Gain of 1. William Thomas having a whale of a game at linebacker for the Eagles.
And now the Eagles coming up with the 8-man front. They're going to force Doug Peterson to throw the football. Don Shula, you don't win 324 football games without knowing how to win these close ones. Now he has the ultimate dilemma. He would love to open it up and take some chances, but a very young quarterback in Doug Peterson, I really think he's going to try and let his defense win this.
Peterson only 1 of 4 since replacing the injured Scott Mitchell. This will be his 5th attempt, and he completes it. McDuffie, key catch. It'll be a Dolphin first down across the Miami 40.
And a nice call here by Don Shula. Very safe, very easy pass for Doug Peterson. Not a lot of risk involved. They're just going to release him underneath, start in at the inside linebacker and back out. It's a good call and a big first down pickup by the Dolphins.
McDuffie, the rookie from Penn State, first down grab. Clock shows 7:30 counting. Higgs gets a block and is stood up and driven back. He's to the 45, about 4 yards on the play. Ben Smith at the bottom of the stack. Keith Byers blocking in front of Higgs, but the clock continues to tick toward Don Shula's record-setting victory.
You just have to wonder now what Don Shula is thinking about. He has been adamant about the fact that the record has been a non-factor, that he's able to put it out of his mind, that all he's really interested in is winning football games this season and trying to get back to the Super Bowl, but they can pick up a couple more first downs. I guarantee it'll cross his mind.
Pitch to Higgs. Mark Higgs tripped up just across midfield by Seth Joyner. Falls forward close to first down yardage.
And now the Achilles heel of this Philadelphia Eagles defense is beginning to rear its ugly head. This is a football team that has not been able to stop the run, and they sure don't need Mike Flores to go out of the lineup here.
Looks like it might be a cramp the way he's pulling his toe back.
He's had some problems with his ankle, but it does. It looks like a cramp.
Meanwhile, Mark Higgs has carried 16 times for 56 yards as the Dolphins want to pound it down the field, as you said, against the weakness of the Philadelphia defense. 104 yards rushing for the Dolphins today. Well, coming up tonight on NBC, after an all-new eyewitness video, NBC's got a real event coming up for you, the network television premiere of Ron Howard's Backdraft with never-before-seen footage. It stars Kurt Russell, Robert De Niro, Donald Sutherland, Rebecca De Mornay, William Baldwin, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Scott Glenn. It's the story of heroes who battled blazes and risked their lives. That's Backdraft coming up tonight, all starting at 8, 7 o'clock Central after Eyewitness here on NBC.
So important now for the Eagles to be able to shut down this run. We've said it all day, but this is the team that is dead last in the National Football League. You know, and it's interesting. We had a chance to have a conversation with Don Shula yesterday and his thoughts on free agency. And he said, you know, changing teams in the National Football League is not like just plugging in a shortstop in baseball or a point guard in football. It's so much more of a team concept. And you got the feeling that he was really a little concerned about the game and the impact that it was going to have, the free agency. He said, but, you know, the fans have adjusted and we've all had to adjust in the past. We'll just have to do it again.
But he said it had somewhat destroyed the romance between players and fans.
when Zonka, Kick, and Warfield and those guys went to the other league, and he said that was really something special, those three guys, and it just destroyed that special feeling.
First down, Dolphins. The ball at the 48 of Philadelphia. 6:13 left. Miami leads by 2 points. Not much there for Higgs that time. The Eagles tough against the run on that play.
William Perry and Mike Chilinsky in there making the stops. Perry with some good penetration, got up the field as they were trying to come with that counter tray. And then William Thomas, who's having such a big game at that outside linebacker position, showing the speed again to get around the corner.
Loss of 2. Higgs dances his way. Stopped at the 46 by Andre Waters. Now just over 5 minutes remaining.
Andre Waters is playing at about 7 or 8 yards deep. It's not exactly an 8-man front, but it is kind of, because of the way that Andre Waters can come up and make that kind of a hit. You'll see him just sort of wander into the line of scrimmage and then explode into Mark Higgs. Huge play in the ball game now.
It's 3rd and 8. The game and Shula's record might hang in the balance here. Peterson to Kirby. Got away from one man. Kirby has a first down to the 34-yard line. Got away from William Frizzell, and the rookie gets a big first down for Don Shula's record-chasing attempt.
Boy, Tom, do I love what Don Shula is doing as far as play calling with this young quarterback, Doug Peterson. All the passes are very safe, very easy to make. Just get the football in the hands of Terry Kirby and let him do this. Get it up the field, split the seam, go for the first down. 4:15 now away from Don Shula in the record.
Myers and Higgs in the backfield. McDuffie motion. Higgs. 3 tough yards. Less than 4 minutes.
The Eagles are going to take a timeout, feeling like that this is it. They've got 2nd down and about 7 to go, and this is the series that will decide it.
Time you come to Philly, you know it'll be a tough afternoon. Brian Cox showing the effects of a day at the vet. His team leading by 2.
And maybe the rally cap on as he has the helmet on backwards.
And Chris, wouldn't it be a delicious touch of irony if Doug Peterson is able to pull out the record win for Don Shula, who over the years has had such great performances from backup quarterbacks?
Earl Morrill, even Tom Matte at one time filled in a quarterback. Now Doug Peterson at the helm as he tries to break the record.
Don Strock, I mean, the list goes on, and it could be Doug Peterson today. Byers inside the 30, stopped by Hager.
There's all the starting quarterbacks that they've had over the years with Don Shula. But perhaps the key list is the ones who have come in and filled in, and we won't forget the job that Earl Morrill did during that streak, that great season that the Miami Dolphins had.
Philadelphia has called a timeout. They have 1 left, and the clock shows 3:48.
And the Philadelphia Eagles are really saying that this is it, that we either make the play here on 3rd down and 5, or that's the ball game, because they are now, don't forget, the Miami Dolphins in field goal range. They're at the 30-yard line, would be about a 47-yard field goal for Pete Stoyanovich. He's already made one from that distance this afternoon, and that would be a big kick indeed. It would give the Miami Dolphins a 5-point lead.
And what about Don Shula? As you look at Stoyanovich, his influence is early. He told you Paul Brown, he grew up under him. He was an obvious influence, and maybe a little surprised about the man who technically he said was his greatest influence.
All right, Blanton Collier.
He was on Collier's staff at Kentucky, a staff that had a number of future pro football head coaches. Peterson to Higgs. A little seam, short of the first down.
Well, Don Shula now thinking that if you're going to beat me, you're going to have to score a touchdown. I think that's the right move, given the offensive problems of the Philadelphia Eagles, as they're going to now burn their final timeout.
So Philadelphia has used all its timeouts. It'll be 4th down with a field goal attempt coming up when we return. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia. 3:41 left. Don Shula in search of the all-time record win. Pete Stoyanovich of the Dolphins will attempt a 45-yard field goal to put the Dolphins up by 5. Peterson, the holder. On its way. And through. If the Eagles are going to upset the Shula drive for the record, they'll have to score a touchdown to do it. Pete Stoyanovich with a 45-yard field goal.
And don't forget, they had fumbled a snap earlier in the game on the extra point. But Don Shula was sure happy to see that bad boy go through the uprights.
One step closer.
What it tight. He's seen it before the past few games.
Stoyanovich, yeah.
Almost hooked out of there, but it held true. How difficult it must be for him not to think of the record. Perhaps think of his wife.
He's thinking of it.
Oh, he may be. You know, maybe even perhaps thinking of his wife, Dorothy, who passed in 1991, who has been such a big part of his football career that even as she got close to her passing, always wanted Don to maintain his focus on the game of football. Never wanted him to be distracted with her cancer. And so dedicated was he, as they traveled the world together to try and find a cure.
Stoyanovich to kick off. It'll go out of bounds, so the Eagles will start from the 35-yard line.
Kickoff, out of bounds. Receiving team will take possession on the 35-yard line, 1st down.
Well, that's not what Don Shula had in mind to start this last drive. 35-yard line, very good possession. Now Ken O'Brien is going to have to try and get something together. They had a very good first half, in particular, a good second quarter, scoring 14 points. But here in the second half, it has been next to nothing offensively.
And O'Brien, who has been the undoing of Shula-coached Dolphin teams so many times in his career as a Jet. Great snag with a flag down by Calvin Williams. Bestie Jackson covering Williams. It's against Miami anyway. That record's not intact yet.
Holding both 24 and 37 on the defense. The pass is completed. Penalties decline. 1st down.
How ironic. The Jets last week kept him from him, and now the quarterback that has given him so many headaches in the past, the former quarterback of the Jets, Ken O'Brien, trying to keep him from it yet again.
O'Brien delivers. Got his man at the 40. Herschel Walker, another Eagle, 1st down. Cut up in front of Bruce Alexander to make the catch, and O'Brien has his team ready to go right again.
And Tom Olivadotti is going to have to start bringing some pressure to try and force Ken O'Brien to move around. If you just leave Ken O'Brien comfortably in the pocket, he'll pick you apart.
O'Brien from the gun, 3 minutes away from the record. O'Brien chased out, pass deflected at the line of scrimmage and incomplete. Brian Cox batted it away.
What a huge mistake there by Ken O'Brien. He had at least 20 to 25 yards to run with the football once he moves up here. Now, maybe Brian Cox made him change his decision, but there was a big opening on the left side of the field for him to take off and run. Look at all the green grass. Instead, tried to pull it up, and Brian Cox knocked it down.
2nd and 10, 2 minutes, 53 seconds left. 5-point Dolphin lead. Ball at the 40. O'Brien again Has to scramble. Dumps it. Hebron dropped it.
Oh, boy.
He would have had the first down.
Hebron's going to go in search of Elmer's glue after this game. 2 fumbles, and now this. Tried to turn his head around, assumed the catch, and laid it on the ground.
3rd and 10. Complete. Lofton, his first catch of the day.
Oh, 37 years old, James Lofton comes up with the play of the game thus far, working on the young second-year player Troy Vincent. A quick little shove from the veteran, and then leans for out of bounds and the first down. James Lofton. Oh, boy. What must be going through the mind of Don Shula at this moment?
Pacing the sideline like a caged animal. 2:39 away from the record. Eagles without any timeouts left. They trail by 5 points. Complete at the sideline. Out of bounds, Lofton. Short game. Troy Vincent covering for the Dolphins.
And a quick hitch of the pants by Don Shula as he is now watching 2 veterans go to work. James Lofton, Ken O'Brien, nice job with the feet. James Lofton with more receiving yards than anyone in NFL history, and he is a thorn in the side of Don Shula right now.
Eagles must score a touchdown. They have 2 minutes, 34 seconds. That's Herschel Walker in motion. And O'Brien looking for him. Instead, throws it to Calvin Williams, who is locked up in a battle with Vesty Jackson, and it's incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Calvin Williams felt that he was held on this play. Vesty Jackson, as he tried to break to the outside, grabbed the jersey, but it was an uncatchable ball. Watch Vesty Jackson just grab hold here. If anything, it's got to be an illegal chuck, not called by the officials.
O'Brien pleads his case to no avail, but it appeared to be an infraction by the Dolphins. They get away with one. It's 3rd and 4. Lofton dropped it. James Lofton dropped it at the 5-yard line. The man who has caught over 750 passes.
You won't see this. Holy cow. I'll bet you not 10 times in his career has he dropped one like that.
Well,
there it is.
Was it meant to be? 4th down. O'Brien dropped it. Fumbled football. Dolphins recover. Yes, some things are meant to be.
The man who prays daily, goes to church daily, spends time with God on every moment possible, almost got a little godlike intervention on the last 2 plays. First, James Lofton with the drop, and inexplicably, Ken O'Brien lets it simply fall out of his hands. And the record is his. Wow. Wow.
And he'll do it with Doug Peterson, who today threw his first NFL pass after Scott Mitchell was injured. Eagles have no timeouts remaining. Mitchell can only watch. And the Dolphins will kill the clock. They'll have to stop at the 2-minute warning.
But there is going to be time if the Dolphins cannot pick up a first down because of the stoppage for the 2-minute warning for the Eagles to get the ball back. So he may still need a little more help before this one's done.
2 minutes separate Don Shula from record win number 325. 2 minutes left in the game. Will Don Shula pass George Halas for all-time coaching wins? in the NFL.
And he's not finished coaching this game. He knows that this offense needs a first down. They've got 2nd down and 8. Ken O'Brien simply let that one slide out of his. I mean, that is almost unbelievable, Tom Hammond. James Lofton dropping one right in the breadbasket, and then Ken O'Brien simply letting it fall out of his hands.
Divine intervention.
Oh, man, is it ever.
Mark Higgs, driven back from the 40. No gain.
A little bridge intervention on that one. Now you've got a tough decision. You're Don Shula. What do? Do you turn your young quarterback loose in this situation? Do you let him throw the football, or do you just punt it? Give them a chance with your defense. 1.
3rd and 8. Mark Higgs. And the Dolphins will have to punt.
It's going to be 30-plus seconds on the clock by the time they punt this one. You could imagine Don may let this thing run down to just 1 second on the 40-second clock and take a timeout. You don't want to go backwards 5 yards. Then go ahead and punt it away and suffer through what he hopes is an historic win here in the final 30 seconds. What a man. So you talk about a guy that has always done everything in a first-class manner, raised a wonderful family, always does everything the way that
And he said,
hope your heroes would.
He said he had changed a bit over the years. That quick temper has been put to rest a bit, and more understanding of his players' needs these days. While we have a moment, let's take a look at the Hager wrinkle-free cotton super play of the game. This was the 4th down fumble by O'Brien.
4th down, the Dolphins were in man-to-man coverage. Ken O'Brien found somebody open that he liked and just let it slide out the back door.
He listens more to his players, more understanding now. More control of that short fuse temper. Don Shula has changed with the times.
34 ticks left.
Hatcher putting to the dangerous Vi Sikahema. Let it bounce, and it will go out of bounds inside the 1. Yes? You don't think it's meant to be?
Oh, boy. Yeah. You don't want to get too religious on a football show, but this is hard to believe.
No timeouts left. 25 ticks remaining.
Man,
the Eagles
oh man.
will have to go 99.5 yards for a miracle finish. Well, Shula breathing just a bit easier. This is a record that will be universally applauded across all the world of sports.
No question.
O'Brien from his end zone. Here's the hook and lateral. Hebron got it from Beatty. Nothing doing.
Wasn't it Shula that ran that play in the playoff game a few years ago? He's going to make sure they have that one. Down under 10 seconds for the record.
And the glasses are off. And the man of the moment, the man of all time in the NFL. And let's back up a step and enjoy this slice of sports history.
Crowd giving a nice ovation to the winningest coach of all time in the National Football League.
All right. Oh, boy. Fantastic. What a win. What a good. Hey, Nicky.
What a moment.
Shula, your thoughts of being the winningest coach of all time in the NFL.
And what a way to win it with our second quarterback hurt, and then Peterson goes in there and we move it down, and Pete Stranovich kicks the field goal, but guys really pulling together. We got it done. All right.
Can anybody ever break break this record, Coach?
I know that's hard to say. All right. Where's Rich? Rich here.
That was one of the tougher runs we've ever had, I think.
You know, Tom, you think of the people that have had the impact that this man has had and the first-class manner in which he has done it. You know, maybe a handful, the John Woodens, the Bear Bryants, the Eddie Robinson at Grambling. But what a special man and what a special moment.
For Tom Hammond's money, the greatest football coach of all time.
Let's go.
We'll be back to the vet for some final comments on this record-breaking day. It's a day to rewrite history in Philadelphia. Don Shula, record win number 325. Thoughts perhaps of his deceased wife, Dorothy, Mary Ann, his present wife, his 5 children. He passes George Halas for the all-time record number of wins. Papa Bear had 324. Don Shula, 325. Tom Hammond for Chris Collinsworth. Congratulations, Don Shula.